Welcome to Build Wealth Logically. Calculate, invest, and grow your wealth.
So, you're thinking about going solar. Fantastic. But let's be honest, it can be really confusing. We're going to cut through all that noise and all that guesswork. In this explainer, we're going to use simple, logical math to figure out the exact solar system size for a typical 3-bedroom home right here in Kenya, so you don't end up paying a shilling more than you need to.
I mean, this is the biggest fear, right? You get a bunch of solar quotes, and you have this nagging feeling. Am I being sold something way bigger, way more expensive than what I actually need? Are you overpaying?
And here's the problem in a nutshell. An installer might come in and say, oh, to be safe, you need a 10-kilowatt system. But when you actually run the numbers, the math points to something closer to 2 kilowatts. That huge gap between their guess and your calculation, well, that's where your money disappears.
So today, we're stopping the guessing game. Because in the solar world, you know that word safe often just means overpriced. It's time we replaced all that guesswork with some good old-fashioned engineering.
Okay, first things first. The most critical step before you even think about panels or batteries is what we call a load audit. We have to know exactly what you're trying to power, and that means listing every single appliance that uses electricity in your home.
And just look at how much this stuff varies. You've got your basics, right? Lights, a TV, the fridge is super important because that thing runs 24/7. But then you get to the iron box. Look at that number. 1,000 watts? That thing is an absolute solar killer. It creates this huge spike in power, even if you only use it for a little while.
And that brings us to a really crucial point. There's a difference between power and energy. Power, which we measure in watts, is what an appliance needs right now. But what you actually get billed for and what your solar system needs to provide over a whole day is energy. And we measure that in kilowatt hours.
So, when we do the math, when we multiply the power of every appliance by how many hours you use it each day and add it all up, we get our foundational number. For a standard professional family in a 3-bedroom house, that daily energy need is roughly 7 kilowatt hours. Remember that number. Burn it into your brain, because everything else we do builds on it.
But hold on, it's not quite that simple. We can't just aim to produce exactly 7 kilowatt hours and call it a day. We have to be realistic. We have to account for real-world conditions right here in Kenya. Things like our sun, and believe it or not, the equipment itself isn't perfectly efficient.
This is a concept called system losses. Think of it like a leaky bucket. Not every single drop of energy your panels generate actually makes it to your TV or your fridge. Some of it gets lost as heat, some to dust on the panels, and some just in the process of converting the power from DC to AC. Now, a good industry standard, a rule of thumb, is to factor in about a 20% loss. So, to get the 7 kilowatt hours of usable energy that we need, we actually have to generate more. A little bit of math tells us our real target for generation is 8.75 kilowatt hours per day.
Okay, next question. How many hours do we have to generate all that energy? This is where a super important local factor comes in, peak sun hours. Now, this isn't just daylight. It's the number of hours where the sun is at its absolute strongest, giving us the best possible output from our panels.
And here is the fantastic news. This is where Kenya has a massive advantage. We are sitting on a solar gold mine. On average, we get about 5 solid peak sun hours every single day. That's a huge natural leg up, and it's the final piece of data we need.
All right, this is the moment of truth. Let's bring it all together. We know our daily energy need, adjusted for losses. We know how many hours of prime sun we get. It is time for the final calculation to find our system's absolute sweet spot. And you're going to love how beautifully simple this is. We take our adjusted daily need, that's 8.75 kilowatt hours. Then we just divide that by our 5 peak sun hours. And what do we get? 1.75 kilowatts. That's the raw power we need from our panels. Now, the math points directly to 1.75 kilowatts. But in the real world, you always want a little bit of a safety margin, right? For those cloudy days. So we round up. And the final verdict is in. A 2-kilowatt solar system is the sweet spot for a typical 3-bedroom Kenyan home. Not 5, not 10, just 2.
So what does a 2-kilowatt system actually look like? What are you getting? Well, typically, it's about 4 to 6 of those big, modern 550-watt solar panels up on your roof. It's a 3-kilowatt hybrid inverter. That's kind of the brain of the whole operation, and 2 48-volt lithium batteries to store all that power for when the sun goes down.
Okay, we've got the size right, but now let's talk about the number that really matters, your money.
We have to stop thinking about solar as just another home expense. We need to start seeing it for what it actually is, a wealth-building asset.
Here's the logic. A home like this, using 7 kilowatt hours a day, is probably spending around 72,000 Kenya shillings every year on grid power. That's a bill that never ever stops. But once you own your solar system, that future cost, it drops to zero. Gone. The upfront investment for a complete, professionally installed 2 kilowatt system is going to be roughly 300,000 shillings. And yes, that's a significant number. But remember, it is a one-time cost to buy an asset that's going to produce value for decades to come. And here it is. This is the most powerful number of all. When you take that investment and divide it by the 72,000 shillings you're saving every year, you find out that the system completely pays for itself in just about 3.5 years. The return on this is incredibly fast.
I want you to really let that sink in. After just 3.5 years, you get over 20 years of free electricity. This is not a purchase like a sofa. This is an engineered financial asset designed specifically to save and make you money.
And that's the power of engineering your finances. You take one of your biggest monthly expenses and you turn it into a long-term asset that pays you back. So the only question left to ask is, are you ready to stop guessing and start building wealth logically?
If you believe wealth should be engineered, not guessed, like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next strategy.